Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Women's Rugby Show weekly podcast with me, Sam. By the way, we are back for another episode. This time it's a bonus episode brought to you again by our partners, Moonrise Sport. In this bonus episode, we're going to be looking ahead at Sunday's championship playoff final between Thurrock and Cheltenham Tigers. We're going to be speaking to Cheltenham Tigers head coach Lewis Arnold and also their vice captain, Freya Jones. Before you get into this episode, if you are liking this, make sure you check us out across all social medias and also check out our partners, Moonrise Sports. So, Lewis, first of all, just thank you so much for chatting to us today. Just first of all, just how much are you enjoying finals week so far?
It's been good. It's been good. It's been finals week because obviously we had the semi-final build up, a little bit of a gap after our last game, so it felt like a bit of a mini pre-season again going into the semi-final. So the girls ripped straight into what was a pretty intense block, and then yeah, they had the Tuesday night off, and then we were straight back into finals. So there's been a good buzz around the club. Loads of support from the men's and the minis and junior section as well. So yeah, it's been a good week.
And obviously, it's your first kind of season in this role as Tigers head coach. Just what brought you to the club and kind of what brought you to the role? Kind of what's your past coaching history to bring you here?
Yes, I suppose I knew a few players at the club, so some of my friends had played at the club previously, and then I'd done some coaching with Gloucester Hartbury previously in pre-season with them. So they sort of put me in touch when the role became available, and I had a chat with Steve. Obviously, it's hard not to know about the club's history. They've been so successful in the championship over the last few years, so I already had a good understanding of how successful the club have been, and then speaking to the team over at Gloucester Hartbury about good opportunity for me to come in with this squad, and it timed itself quite nicely with me stepping back from playing. So yeah, it was just a perfect fit really in terms of the first role outside of playing. History, I suppose. I started off as a player and then took up coaching pretty quickly alongside it, and then I've been head of rugby for the last 6 years up at Worcester University before moving down to Hartbury. So everything's moving a little bit further south at the minute, down to Hartbury and then down to Cheltenham as well.
Mm. And just to touch on Hartbury and kind of Gloucestershire rugby, obviously, Cheltenham Tigers are going for three championships in a row. Hartbury have just won three Bucks titles in a row. Gloucester Hartbury being so successful. Just how kind of special is rugby in Gloucestershire at the moment?
Yeah, it's class, and it? Fordy's done a good job this year. The Bucks was I actually got involved with a little bit of Bucks, so they got so many talented players that coach as well. So a few of the coaches for Bucks went away for some international rugby. So I actually did a little bit of Bucks with Hartbury as well, and it's just different. It's a good place for men's and women's rugby, but the women's rugby pathway is outstanding. So I've been pretty shocked there just by how the depth of talent coaching and playing at Hartbury in the women's game is pretty overwhelming from college right the way up to obviously Gloucester,
Mhm.
guaranteed semi-final, ready to go again in the Prem. So Cheltenham Tigers has played a really crucial part in that pyramid. So they're pretty lucky at Gloucester. Obviously, they got the college and then the Bucks program, and then Cheltenham just down the road for players. So I suppose for young players coming in, they've got so many different avenues that they can develop. So it's been a really good move for me down to Hartbury with rugby everywhere, and then to Cheltenham as well.
Mhm. And obviously, just the championship season kind of so far. Obviously, you've had the league in the north and then semi-finals. Kind of how have you found the competitiveness compared to what you've been used to perhaps coaching before?
Yeah, it's been a little bit different. Obviously, sadly, with DMP not being able to compete in the league, we had a couple of gaps in the season. So it's been quite a long year, and probably a lot more travel than I was expecting. Some of the commitment of the girls is outstanding. We got girls that come from the other side of Cardiff. There's girls that come from up past me in Worcester. That some of the distance they do on the road just to get to the club is pretty immense. And then obviously they all jump on the bus to Barnsley or to the top of the country at West Park Leeds. So the level of rugby's been great. I suppose it's just getting the consistency of opposition has been one of the challenges for us. So we've been really lucky. We've done plenty of joint training with Gloucester Hartbury and with the Hartbury Bucks, obviously making use of that pyramid. We had a really great game against Gwalia Lightning, obviously with the Celtic Challenge coming online. So it's been a bit of a stunted season in terms of consistency. We've managed to fill those gaps really nicely with some good opposition.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you mentioned kind of that pathway. Just how special is it to see some of those players who played for Cheltenham, not just this season, but in the past, kind of making that step up? And is that kind of something that rewards the coaching staff and kind of see so the players that have that pathway going through?
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge, right? That was the challenge coming in. It's such a good advert for the club, and also its biggest challenge every year because obviously we've been lucky to be relatively successful this year, loads of success in the past, and then most years, from my understanding, they wave goodbye to some players who get opportunities in the PWR or go abroad, or they've come over from abroad to play at the club and then go back home. So it's been a big transition in terms of the amount of players that left to move on to really good opportunities. So that's pretty inspiring for the rest of the girls here. And it's also a really big challenge because I imagine if some of those players go well at Twickenham on Sunday, then I imagine we may well wave goodbye to some others. So we'll wish them well and then get looking for some new talent. We're pretty fortunate that the second team here, I was quite shocked week one. The amount of girls we had turn up to the 4G to train week one of pre-season was class and a bit of a shock. So we've got some really good depth, like a really strong second team that compete with those first team girls. So luckily we're able to make the transition pretty smoothly over the off season.
And obviously, Thurrock, the opposition on Sunday, just is there any been kind of prep in the build up to this about looking at what they can do, or is it the focus purely being on Cheltenham?
Yeah, a little bit. Being really honest, I'm pretty sort of 80-20 in terms of split. So generally speaking, if we can get the way we want to play nailed and do that bit really, really well, then 20% of the opposition. So we're really conscious that they've got a big, strong pack. So we know that we're set pieces going to be really crucial for us. But beyond that, we haven't looked at them too much. We're pretty focused on us, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And just finally, the last kind of couple of questions for me, just how special are the occasions like Sunday, the occasions like the semi-final for a community club like Cheltenham?
Yeah, Sunday, I don't know. You'll have to ask some of the players. Some of the girls here have had a lot more experience of that than me as a player or a coach. So for a couple of girls, they're probably pretty used to it by now. But for the new girls coming in, for me and certainly the coaching group, a lot of which are new this year, I think it'll be pretty special. The club's been buzzing this week, so the supporters, coaches have been selling out, and we've been putting on another one, and it's been great for the club. The rest of the club have got behind the group really well. So for those players to have the opportunity to play at Twickenham, for us to be involved, for the coaches to facilitate the game and watch the game at Twickenham will be unbelievable, I think. And then what a platform for those girls. So obviously the game is going to be streamed and they'll be playing at Twickenham. I imagine there'll be some PWR coaches watching. So yeah, what an opportunity for them and what an opportunity for the club.
And just how do you kind of get a team up for this kind of game, or is it kind of not even getting them up? It's kind of keeping them down from getting too excited.
I tend to be pretty chilled. The girls will probably say I'm quite boring. I tend to be pretty chilled and monotone during the week, and then I tend to get probably a little bit excited on game day. So I'll say a few words before we go out, and then we got a great leadership team. So once we go outside and I've said my piece and made sure everyone's focused, I'll leave it to the girls on the pitch and just watch.
And just final one, obviously you mentioned the leadership team then, just how important is kind of having that group on the pitch of experienced players someone who have played up at that high level and now playing down again, just how important is that?
Yeah, it's an exciting mix because you've got some players that have maybe played a really high level of rugby that are in the twilight of their career and maybe they're transitioning down. You've got some players that are on the way up, young, really dynamic and looking to push up. So the mix has been really interesting. and you don't always get it right in terms of balance. But I think for the most part, we've struck a really good balance of senior players that have inputted really well to the club, and then young players that are really aspirational in terms of where they want to go in their career. So it's meant every week's pretty exciting. Being able to call on the likes of Rhea, our first team captain, and Freya has been outstanding. She's been vice captain this year. They've been amazing. And I suppose I've got to shout out the coaching team because there's such a breadth of players here at the club. Really, we've been able to remain successful because of how much the coaching team have put in. So that's a testament really to how much the club's invested in women's rugby. The reality is if they don't invest in a coaching team that's got Rich out doing kicking with the girls before they start training, and Harry Gibson's doing skills, be running backs and skills with Henry, and then they've got myself and Kieran, and then Henry doing the forwards. Then we've invested in a strength and conditioning coach in Hannah. So there's this, they get such a sort of good package of support, if you like. But it's because the club's willing to invest in it. So I've relied on them heavily a lot this year. So the coaching group have been amazing, and then our leadership team have been brilliant as well on pitch.
So, Lewis, thank you so much for chatting to us today, and best of luck for Sunday.
No worries. Appreciate everything you do, mate. Pod's brilliant.
So, Freya, first of all, thank you so much for chatting to us today. Just how are you, and how are you enjoying finals week so far?
Yeah, good. It's a week that we've been looking forward to. A lot of preparation, I think a lot of excitement, a mixture of excitement, nerves, apprehension. But I think getting to the latter end of the week, we're just like kind of ready to get going now.
And obviously, it's been quite a stop-starty season. We spoke to Lewis earlier in the week about kind of how it's been tough to kind of get going with a couple of cancelled games and stuff. So just how much have you kind of enjoyed the season? Obviously, it's your first season back at Tigers for a number of years. So just how much are you enjoying this year?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if after having 2, 3 seasons out, it's actually I've found my love for the game. And I've absolutely loved being back. As you said, like, it was a little bit stop-start towards kind of Christmas, but I think since the new year, we've pretty much been flat out, and it has been tiring, but it allows you to kind of find your rhythm, consistency, building strength to strength week in, week out. Yeah, I've absolutely loved being back in the mix. I've found that kind of work-life balance again, and I lost that for a while. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
And obviously, the competitiveness of the championship now. Do you feel like it's kind of changed since you were last playing at Tigers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been 3 years since I was last at Tigers, but I mean, the women's game in general has grown massively over those 3 years anyway. So I would expect the competition to have improved. But it's just brilliant to see the game grow, and to have not just the competition within the championship, but the competition within our squad alone. It just drives girls to improve, and healthy competition just, yeah, it means people get better. You want that competition within the team. You don't want to have girls walking into shirts every week thinking, that's mine, so I don't need to work and train so hard. When you know someone else is going for your shirt, it fires you up to train harder, do the extras. Yeah, and ultimately it's just going to help our game grow.
And obviously, rugby in Gloucestershire kind of booming at the moment. Obviously, we've got Cheltenham Tigers going for 3 in a row, Hartpury have won 3 in a row, Gloucester Hartpury going for 2 in a row. Is it kind of a special place to be playing your rugby at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm originally from Gloucester, so it's where I started my rugby. And you know what? I actually wouldn't want to play rugby anywhere else. I'm so happy at Cheltenham. So yeah, we're doing well as a county. So yeah, it's positive. It's good to see it grow.
Just how kind of special are these weeks for kind of like a community club like Cheltenham? Obviously, so much goes on down at Newlands. Just so how kind of special are these weeks for the club?
Oh, it's massive. I mean, I think as women as well, to be able to say we're going to Twickenham on Sunday to showcase our rugby, and to achieve what we've achieved. And I can't take any of the credit of the wins of previous seasons, but for the squad as a whole and the club as a whole, to be going to the finals for a third year in a row, it's massive. And we're so lucky, like we've got a huge minis and junior section. So if we can showcase great rugby in the adult section, then hopefully it'll keep those minis and juniors carry on going. They'll go through to kind of age group and then hopefully trickle into the women's section as they get older. So it's a nice opportunity to kind of put community rugby out there a bit more and get a bit more exposure, because even just talking to my work colleagues, they'd have no idea if it wasn't for me chirping on about it all the time. And a couple of them have never watched women's rugby before, and they're actually coming down to Twickenham on Sunday. So it'll just be a really nice opportunity to showcase what we're capable of, because I don't think we get enough credit for what we do. So yeah.
Just kind of how much prep have you done as a side to kind of prepare yourself for the occasion of Twickenham more than the occasion of the game this week?
I think we've just tried to keep consistency in what we do. So from the start of the season throughout, I think consistency, we're trying to treat it like every other week. Of course, it's a massive occasion. And as I said, some of the girls actually played their last season, so they know what it means. And it's extra special for some of them to be going back a second time around. But yeah, like we're so lucky that a lot of like our support team, like our support staff, have been doing squirreling away, doing loads in the background, but also doing that so that we don't have to worry about it. We've had a little bit of like media and things like that, so it helps channel the excitement that's to come for Sunday's fixture. But we've tried to find a happy medium, just so that it doesn't kind of push people out of kilter, I suppose.
And how important is that balance of kind of the players who have played in the last couple of finals, and compared to the players who are kind of coming in new this year to kind of bring in fresh ideas and fresh faces?
I think, yeah, absolutely. And I think we've got a really nice, we've got a stunning squad going out on Sunday. But the squad overall, even those that aren't playing this weekend, we're really lucky that, like, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have got to this point. And I think just the contribution that everyone has, whether they're new faces, have been around for the last few seasons, we ultimately all have the same end goal. And it was a conversation at the start of the season, obviously, what are your big goals? And we'd love to have gone on to win the league, go on to play at Twickenham. But as much as you can have those big goals, it's all of those little workings and smaller goals to work towards that ultimate aim. And without the collective of our squad, like, we would just never have got to this point. So yeah, it's important to have that balance.
And Lewis mentioned when we spoke to him kind of the culture of the squad and the environment being so welcoming, so positive. Just how important is that for you to kind of enjoy your rugby and enjoy playing the game?
It's incredibly important. Like, we don't get paid for this at the end of the day. Like, we give up so much of our time, our evenings, our weekends. So it's so important that, one, you're doing something that you love, you keep that love for the sport, and you're playing with people that you just enjoy being around. And as I said, I don't get paid for it. So if I wasn't happy and if I wasn't loving it, I wouldn't be there. And I always loved being part of the team. I literally only left because COVID kicked in and life kind of changed. But being back, my mental health, my physical health, like, it's just, yeah, it's been brilliant. And culture's massive. You've got to love what you're doing to kind of put the time and energy that we all do into it.
And finally, just how proud are you going to be running out of Twickenham on Sunday?
Oh, so proud. I was so proud at semi-finals. So I can only imagine what it's going to feel like running out at Twickenham with those girls, and to have friends and family there to cheer us on. Like, it's a momentous occasion. As I said, just running out at semi-finals, I actually said to the girls, we got to the circle just before kickoff on the pitch, and just my whole body was covered in goosebumps. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hoping to just soak up every minute building up to it, and yeah, I'm excited. Be good.
So Freya, thank you so much for talking to us today, and best of luck for Sunday.
Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it.